All right, folks, we're down here, of course, in New Orleans for Essence Fest 2017. Lots of conversation about lots of issues, and yesterday, folks were talking about a truly despicable ad, controversial, put out by the National Rifle Association. Just press play.
They use their media to assassinate real news. They use their schools to teach children that their president is another Hitler. They use their movie stars and singers and comedy shows and award shows to repeat their narrative over and over again. And then they use their ex-president to endorse the resistance, all to make them march, make them protest, make them scream racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia, to smash windows, burn cars, shut down interstates and airports, bully and terrorize the law-abiding, until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom, is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
Now, of course, that's Dana Loesch, a St. Louis-based media a talk show host, a Tea Party talk show host. And it is stunning watching that particular ad because somehow I guess she forgot one of the reasons people were marching was against the actions of police. But you won't hear the National Rifle Association say a damn thing about police brutality. And what's also amazing, you hear the NRA all loving the Second Amendment, but clearly in that ad totally ignoring the First Amendment. Let's go to the, of course, Women's March co-organizer, Tamika Mallory. I'll talk to her about this. Tamika, you were tweeting a whole lot about this. First of all, you're joining us from here in New Orleans, here at Essence as well. And again, she tweeted a whole lot. It's amazing how Dana overlooked all of the reasons why folks are out there protesting.
Right. I'm sorry, Roland, that unfortunately I can't hear you as clear as I would like to. I think you, I think what I made out was that you said, we've been tweeting and writing about it, and the Women's March released a letter with 3 specific demands about this ad. I mean, anyone who has good sense can see that this ad is very dangerous. It is absolutely inciting violence against people, protesters, and particularly, from my perspective, people of color. And Dana Loesch knows that, and the NRA also knows it. And I think that we, as the Women's March and responsible citizens in general, which we've seen that on social media and just across all mediums, there has been a surge of folks who have said that this ad is wrong, and they are supporting Women's March call for the ad to be pulled down, and for the NRA to apologize for even ever posting something like that on their Facebook page in the first place. Again, it incites violence against us. And, you know, we've seen that there has been a surge in racially charged incidents across this country since Donald Trump was running for president, and, of course, since he actually became president. And so to have a gun organization, an organization that represents gun owners, to put out this type of advertisement is unacceptable. And I think I saw a tweet from DeRay McKesson basically saying if one of us put that type of ad out, we would be arrested possibly for the thought of terrorism.
Angela, again, it's very clear, and I don't recall seeing an NRA ad about the Philando Castile murder.
No, and you're not going to see one, and it's very clear why. You hear Dana blatantly say, them, our freedom, our country. And we've been saying that for a long time. When the Tea Party was stood up, Roland, remember they said, it's time to take our country back. We told people then, and they laughed, they jeered, they said that that wasn't true. Our country wasn't represented, it was just from progressives. That is a racially charged ad that could very well incite a race war if it goes viral. That is a major problem. It's worth suing over, frankly.
Jamira, when you hear how do you respond with a clenched fist, we know exactly what they are calling for.
No, and I think what's so disturbing about this video, I think it totally overlooks the fact that there are 30,000 Americans who lose their life to gun violence every single day. And they almost made a joke about it. And to Angela and Tamika's point, it's very much exciting violence. If you're an activist, particularly an activist of color on social media, you've received a death threat before. You've been talked to. And I think the NRA is almost alleviating, if not being complacent in those actions and encouraging those people to now take their actions that much further and actually cause harm to many people who are just trying to fight for their freedom and protect their communities across the country. So it's extremely disturbing, and I think DeRay is right. We would be arrested immediately if we even tweeted something similar.
Kristen, still, we have Kristen. I'm sorry, I'll go to Deshandra, please.
You know, when I saw that ad, and I watched it a few times, it plays into the NRA narrative that there is a culture war going on. It's, you know, us versus them. You know, and that's particularly frightening when you see that, you know, since Trump's election, you know, Richard Spencer's been saying that Trump's been their best recruitment tool. I mean, listen, this isn't just about gun rights. This isn't just about people's right to bear arms. My father is a hunter. He owns guns. You know, I grew up around guns. This isn't about that. People have that right. This is really about inciting a culture war and playing into this narrative, this racist narrative. That people like us, you know, out there protesting, demanding our rights, you know, exercising our First Amendment rights, that we're some kind of threat to a larger, you know, society.
And one thing I would say
Shannon?
that I would hope is that I'm sorry.
Jameer, go ahead. Jameer the Shannon, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one thing I would hope that eventually comes of this is that the police departments around the country actually come out against this ad, because they have been one of the silent allies in the prevention for gun violence prevention, because that actually makes them unsafe as well. So I would encourage them to actually come out against this ad and say that it creates a violent community for us all.
Shannon?
You know, I'm in an odd place. I'm a Republican. I live in Baltimore. I was out at the riots after what happened to Freddie Gray. I did not agree with what happened. Clearly, that young man was walking, talking, and breathing before police intervention. But I also own guns. I've also been pro-Second Amendment. So it's kind of a difficult place, because if you look at things on the surface, you see the ad, you see what they say, and you say, okay, us, them. But then you have to kind of look at who is the us and who is the them. So if you follow the train of thought that the panelists are going here, I mean, I'm black and I'm a Republican, but they wouldn't see that. They would just see a black person out in the street protesting.
That's exactly right.
And I get that.
That's exactly right.
So it puts those of us that really want to think not so much along party lines, but in terms of right and wrong, in a really bad place. Because if you want to look at things, if you want to have hope and faith that things are really intended to be good, you see it a certain way. But if you've had things happen to you, you see it a different way. And when you fit...
Angela, then... I'm sorry, real quick.
I was saying, when you fit different parts of that stereotype, it's really hard to find your way and your place.
And Pastor, I think it's pretty simple. They're not going to see the fact that you're Republican first. Nobody can see that facially. So I hope that you will be woke and stand on the side of truth and call out this ad because it's wrong.
Tamika?
Yeah, you know, and I think what's also important, Roland, is that this plays into the larger narrative of fear-mongering that we've seen just throughout this entire administration. This is what they want. And so the NRA is a part of that, being one of their largest donors. They are all working together to create this fear among us, one, so they can sell guns, but also because they want to uphold the systems of oppression in this country. People need not be confused that these things are not one-offs in silos. All of this is working together, and it is very, very dangerous. And we, people of good moral conscience, best not sit by and be quiet while we see these things happening, because it can certainly hit your doorstep that a person who listens to an ad like that may pick up a gun and actually shoot you. Like, this is real.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no.
That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.